You want to listen to a podcast?
By who?
Georgia GOP Congressman Doug Collins.
How is it?
The greatest thing I have ever heard in my whole life.
I could not believe my ears.
In this house, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered. And this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't going to be that fun. Everybody, well, welcome back. Friday's finest. And yes. Be real quiet. Can you hear it? Can you feel it? It's one more day till college football. It is tomorrow. Yes, we're back. And now we have college football all the way to January 20th. I think it is, or something like that, 2025. We're back. We're going to be on it with today. James is with me. Chip had to, I don't know where his priorities are, but Chip had to go to, some trip. And the day before football starts. But we'll get it back as we go here. We got a lot of things coming up. I want to talk about. Got to finish up the Democratic Convention, though. Thank God it is finally over. We'll talk about that here to get started. And then we'll get on to some storylines from football, from life. Hunting season is about 3.5 weeks away. There's good stuff there as well. So a lot going on in the world as we talk. But you're here for Friday's Finest. Strap in. Y'all had time away from me for about a week. Now we're back. Get ready. Strap in. It's ready for the Friday's Finest here on the Doug Collins podcast. We'll be right back after this commercial. You might have heard Mike Lindell and MyPillow no longer have the support of the box stores or the shopping channels as the way they used to. They've been part of the cancel culture, so they want to pass the savings directly on to you by having a $25 extravaganza. When Mike started MyPillow, it was just one product company. With the help of his dedicated employees, they now have hundreds of products. Some of you may not even know about that. So to get the word out, I want to invite my listeners to check out the $25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-pillow use My Pillows are just $25. My Pillow sandals, $25. There's 6-pack of towel sets, $25. Brand new 4-pack dish towels. You guessed it, just $25. And for the first time ever, the My Pillows with all new Giza fabric, just $25. All orders over $75 will see free shipping too. This amazing offer won't last long, so go to mypillow.com and use the promo code Collins, that's COLLINS, or call 800-986-3994 today. That's promo code Collins. Hey, inflation's at a 40-year high. The stock market looks more uncertain than ever. The new central bank digital currency is on its way and could be the government's ultimate surveillance tool against Americans. It looks like the government is playing games with your savings and retirement. So what are you going to do to help protect yourself? Did you know that you can have physical gold and silver into your IRA or 401k with zero tax or penalties? Millions of Americans are doing this right now for protection, and you should think about it too. The company I trust and recommend is Preserve Gold. They will go all over your options and make sure the process of acquiring precious metals is simple and easy. So if you're looking to help protect your retirement with a trustworthy company, request your free investment guide from the experts at Preserve Gold. Preserve Gold is accredited by the Better Business Bureau, and they have hundreds of 5-star reviews, so you know that you're in good hands. Just text Collins, COLLINS, to 50505. As an exclusive offer for my listeners, they'll get up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualifying purchase on a retirement account rollover. So don't wait. Text Collins to 50505 today and get your free gold and silver investment guide and take the first step. Again, text Collins to 50505 to get your free guide from the good people at Preserve Gold. Everybody, we're welcome back. Friday's Finest. And yes, be real quiet. Can you hear it? Can you feel it? It's one more day till college football. It is tomorrow. Yes, we're back. And now we have college football all the way to January 20th. I think it is, or something like that, 2025. We're back. We're going to be on it with today. James is with me. Chip had to, I don't know where his priorities are, but Chip had to go to, some trip. And the day before football starts. But we'll get it back as we go here. We got a lot of things coming up I want to talk about. Got to finish up the Democratic Convention, though. Thank God it is finally over. We'll talk about that here to get started. And then we'll get on to some storylines from football, from life. Hunting season is about 3.5 weeks away. There's good stuff there as well. So a lot going on in the world as we talk. But you're here for Friday's Finest. Strap in. Y'all had time away from me for about a week. Now we're back. Get ready. Strap in. It's ready for the Friday's Finest here on the Doug Collins podcast. We'll be right back after this commercial. All right, we're back. Let's tie some things up, and it's good to be back with you. I've been on the road. I know many of you saw me and follow me when I'm on Fox and Newsmax and everything. I get a lot of emails, tweets, and everything. Always glad to see you and hear from you on the road. When I'm in the airports and stuff, I always come up and love to see y'all take pictures. We had a good time this week traveling, but we're back in. Let me just sort of sum up the convention. And it went a little different than what I thought. The Democratic National Convention, thank goodness we're now, after all the hubbub of getting rid of Joe Biden, and we went a month and a half of a convention, basically an extended Democratic National Convention, remaking of Kamala Harris and the whole issue of going from 30% approval rating less than 45 days ago to 80% enthusiasm rating today is just frankly stunning. But it still just shows the power of social media, the power of the mainstream media, the power of video and audio in this country, that you move numbers and can move people. If that should not scare you, on a side note here, and again, I say this not just simply because it was Vice President Harris, but anything, if you can swing numbers of enthusiasm among Democratic voters from 30 to 80 in less than 4 weeks and take approval ratings to positive of a vice president who is completely underwater in approval ratings just 45 days ago, folks, you can, with enough money and enough free press, you can do anything. And I think this is the part that scares a lot of people when they look at the election cycles. They look at, this is why disinformation is always talked about, and why also, though, more information needs to be out there, because at the same time, Republicans and conservatives have to stick to the message. The message is very clear. If you like Biden and Harris administration, you're going to like the Harris Walz administration, except it's going to be worse or better, depending on your perspective in looking at that. But we've got to continue to make sure that we focus on the things that truly are driving issues. Here's the interesting thing is, and this is a disconnect. Y'all know I like to dig into the weeds here a little bit, and I want to make sure that you're catching something that's in these polling. The personality ratings for Harris and favorability ratings and voting for ratings have all increased. And we've seen this across the board in certain areas. We've had John McLaughlin on here to talk about it. We've had pollsters talking about this. And she has closed the gap in enthusiasm of voters in the Democratic Party and has gotten it back to where it's very workable for them, that they believe they can now win. I was on with Fox's business show yesterday, Maria Bartiromo, and we were talking to Trafalgar Group polling. And I asked the question, though, I said, but what we're also seeing in these polls is that she's not back truly among certain groups in the Democratic ticket where they've traditionally been, and that being mainly African-American males, Asian, and Hispanic voters. Those are still lagging. That's why you're seeing the disconnect in some of these battleground states as opposed to, say, the national polls. And remember, we do not elect a president nationally. I know that's going to sound strange to some of you, but please take in what I'm saying. And it's fun because it's the only way we know how to poll. Many times you poll nationally. A national poll shows X up 2 points or somebody else down 2 points, which is all within margin of error. But the reality is we elect our president by state. We elect our presidents by the Electoral College through the states, and that's where you need to pay attention. There's about 7 or 8 states that everybody's paying attention to now in those areas. She's pulled ahead or even in several of those states. She's behind still in several of those states. And right now she's still behind in states that she absolutely has to have, and that being Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona. She's still not there. So again, it's closer. As someone said the other day, this electoral vote is really close right now. But I think that also lends itself to a breakout possibility here for Donald Trump in particular. and that is when last week she gave a economic speech, and again, basically decided to blame business, big corporation, the greed factor, and instead of blaming the very thing that matters, which the Trump campaign, Vance campaign need to hit on every day, and that the reason that grocery prices are higher is Biden Harris. The reason gas prices are higher and diesel prices are higher, Biden Harris. The reason the border is open, Biden Harris. Don't ever let her off the hook as being somebody who approved of all the bad decisions the Biden Harris administration did, because she did. And then she hid the rest of the time. No leadership, no abilities to get out front of any messaging. Although the Biden campaign, if you go back and look at the headlines out the Biden campaign, the Biden side of the White House was very upset that the Harris campaign was not doing anything except having staff turnover and other problems. These are all now being moved to the side, covered up, washed over, however you want to put it, to make sure that Vice President Harris looks like the second most important person ever to existed in the vice presidency office or in the presidency, and she's going to be a Barack Obama style figure. And that brings me to the convention. And the convention, this week of convention, if you would have it, the week of convention became a narrative play. Gino Caldwell, who I was on with, made this comment. He said it's a narrative that they want you to build off the narrative. They don't want you to build off of specific, because she's still hiding from the press. She's still not answering questions. She's still not, opening herself up to anything other than what's written on a teleprompter. Even when she's went off briefly off the teleprompter, it has been catastrophically bad. So again, her reading glasses are a teleprompter. She can't live without them. Look, anybody can give a speech if you practice. Okay. And she practiced the whole week to give that speech last night that was short on specifics, long on Donald Trump. And that's what the whole, if you broke down the convention this week, it was very simple. It was bash Trump, bash Trump, bash Trump, bash Trump, bash Trump. Everything is a problem. And again, a number that kept coming up this week that I think we need to focus on. Remember, out there in the world, 12 out of the last 16 years have been Democrat presidents. 12 of 16. Obama, Biden, and Trump. So you had Obama, Biden, and then you had 4 years of Trump. And in the middle of that, we actually had gained energy independence. We actually had a lowering of inflation. We had an economy that was growing. We had tax cuts for everybody. And I think, these are the kind of things that are mixed in there. But it's amazing that after 16 years, 12 of which you control the White House, you're blaming everything on the guy who was there for 4 years. It just doesn't add up. But people, again, are not high information voters. They don't look at long-term things. They look at whatever is eye candy and shiny object in front of them at that moment. And that's what the Democrats are hoping you will do and continue to do out of this convention. Notice what they did every night. Most of you, except for last night, she actually started at 9:45 Eastern time, which was actually the first one of the main speakers from the administration to actually make it into prime time. Biden was pushed off until almost midnight, and that was actually just cruel. I mean, you think about it. The man, and his daughters admitted he has some sundowner influence of late night issues, and they pushed him to 11:45 to give what would be his final, probably, speech to the Democratic National Convention, definitely final one as president. And they pushed him way back into the night. They pushed, Tim Walz's speech didn't start till 11:15 East Coast time. I mean, a lot of these people, people were not up by that point because they had to get up and go to work, or they catching pieces. But again, that's what they wanted. They wanted you to hear the narrative. They wanted you to hear the clips of Tim Walz's speeches where he did really good, they thought, and not the totality of his speeches. And also, let me just say this, and I know, some don't want to get off on this, and that's fine. Make fun of Tim Walz all you want. I mean, he is a liberal governor who is weird in many ways, as he likes to share everybody else his movements, his actions, his policies. Vice President Harris the same way. But guys and gals out there, get off the kids. Just get off the kids. And I know the Democrats will, they'll say stuff about Don and Eric, and at least they're adults, but, and they typically leave Barron alone and should. But guys, I've seen enough of it. Don't. Okay. I'm telling you, it doesn't play well. I don't know who you're trying to impress. And that's not the way we win this. We win this by reminding people that we're in an economy that people can't afford to buy their food like they used to, their prescription drugs like they used to, their gas and diesel like they used to. They're having trouble finding and keeping jobs. Their jobs are changing. We have a lot of issues overseas. There's an open border. There's fentanyl and everything else. And we're making fun of a kid who has emotional issues, crying because he loves his dad. I mean, give me a break, guys. I'm sorry. You can call me whatever you want to. Put it in there. Call Doug Collins, call DougCollinsPodcast.com, hit that email button, and get all of your little penny ante vitriol out. I don't care. I'm a big boy. But give me a break. The kid was happy for his dad. He has trouble expressing himself. He has these issues. And if that's what we're focusing on, and you see a mom who's struggling with a child in the suburbs, or parents who are struggling with kids in areas, and they're struggling because they have kids who have similar kind of issues or other issues, and they see conservatives making fun of that kid, are you going to get that vote? Just quit. Just don't. Please. Just don't. Just don't. It's not becoming. Okay? It's just not. So stop it. All right? Let's get back to the real problem, and that is Vice President Harris becoming President Harris. That's a problem. Governor Walz becoming Vice President Walz. That's a problem. And if we actually acknowledge the real problems, then as conservatives, we can get our heads out of the stratosphere or wherever else you got it stuck and start focusing on the issues of calling them out. Comrade, Harris is going to do it. And I mean, that's probably the closest thing, because she does believe in things that have been done and attacked to socialism and communism, from price controls to other things. Focus on those things, but explain them in ways. There's too many isms going on out there. Liberalism, communism, socialism. The real ism is not an ism. It is, can you afford your groceries? Can you afford your diesel? Can you afford your health insurance, your car insurance? Because these are the things that you were better off 4 years ago. There's never been a better time to say, I was better off 4 years ago. I'm voting for Donald Trump. That's what we got to stick to. And I think the president's going to do that. I think J.D. Vance is sticking to that. And we got to call them out when they are hypocritical. Call them out, put it on social media, get it out there, because look, the mainstream media is not going to do it. But this is a contrasted convention. The contrasted convention was they wanted you to see the Obamas, the Clintons, and all the others in prime time, because they wanted you to believe this was a Democratic Party of that era and not the Democratic Party of this era. This era Democratic Party is more pro-Hamas. They are pro-government. They're far more liberal. And woke, is Vice President Harris likes to say. And they're not the Obamas and the Clintons who actually were appealing to a more moderate base and steering clear of the more far left base of people who believe in more of communism and socialism, or isms, or whatever you want to call it. They're the believe that government can help you, and that everybody ought to have the freedom to go to do whatever they want to do, except conservatives. I thought that was the other number two thing here out of the convention, was they didn't want you to think that it was today's Democratic Party, and they also didn't want you to actually argue issues. It was a straw man convention. In other words, how many times have you ever had a conservative talk about trying to keep people from going to the church or synagogue or mosque that they choose, or not go at all? No, conservatives don't do that. Tim Walz actually made it a problem to go and close churches down during the pandemic. But yet you had multiple speakers talk about not wanting conservatives, not wanting people to express their religious beliefs. That is just a straw man that is non-existent. They talked about, going back and redoing, the gay marriage issues and others. There may still be conservatives who disagree with that and think it's wrong, but there's no big push from any main conservative politician or elected official, and especially Donald Trump, to say that's going to happen. They just don't. Why? It's easier to put up a straw man and tear the straw man up than it is to actually put up the real policies of immigration, economy, drugs, and world standing, and also lying about the condition of Joe Biden, than it is to actually deal with the real issue. So look, there's a lot out there to continue. Now the real campaign starts, and the real campaign has got to get started quickly, because in less than 15 days, North Carolina will actually be casting absentee ballots. Think about that. We're not nearly technically 70 days away. We're 15 days away, 25 days away, 30 days away, 50 days away here in Georgia from actually people casting votes. So, folks, we don't have time to waste here. It's time to get, busy. It's time to start getting out there, making phone calls, become poll watchers, become poll workers. We need poll workers in Georgia. Please get out and go and be a poll worker if you can. Again, I get that everybody wants to watch, but somebody's got to work, and we need good people working the polls. And people have gotten out of that, so we need that as well. So a lot of those kind of things going on. But this is Friday, and this is a day in which we take the politics of the week. And I want to thank Chip and everybody for this week for pitching in, and James, as y'all been talking about different issues. But now it's time to get ready for the college football season to kick off, the final weekend of preseason for the NFL. All of this is happening, and for that, it's time to bring in the world traveler. The man, the myth, the legend, the urban warrior, the road warrior, from Jersey to Texas to Colorado to Montana, now to Washington State, onward and upward, know where he's going to go. Yes, it is James is in the house.
Good morning.
What's going on?
How are we doing today?
America is good. They've been waiting on Friday's Finest, and they're waiting on
all the Americans that are listening to this program. 100%.
It is.
I believe we have some Australian listeners as well.
Yep. And they'll be waking up eventually.
Yeah, eventually. I did want to say one thing before we move on to the really, really fun stuff. First of all, I didn't know about the kid thing till you brought it up. I saw bits and pieces, and that is really annoying, and I appreciate what you said. Second, the DNC can't go spoken about without at least mentioning that we talked right beforehand that this poor woman caught a stray on national television on every streaming service. Oprah spoke, because of course, and she mentioned crazy cat ladies in her speech, and 10 out of 10 for the cameraman that panned to this poor lady just standing there.
Yep.
Spoke about, she said, and she was just standing there like this. That's her life now. That's it. She's done. If she's smart, she's going to get her 15 minutes of fame and do a cat commercial.
Yep.
And she's going to be a millionaire.
Yep.
But yeah, I just thought it had to be mentioned. It's very funny. There's a
Key and Peele sketch. You caught a random there. It's just like,
Yeah, absolutely caught a stray. It was hilarious.
Speaking of that, and this is pop culture stuff, because we deal in reality. Democrats were actually in mourning last night. If you look at the Twitter feeds and other stuff, they honest to God thought that the Queen Bee was coming last night, that Beyonce was going to be there. And it's like,
Me and Chip talked about this.
Who cared?
Why? I can't stress this enough. I think it is so cringy when famous people, like I thought the Steve Kerr speech, all well and good, ended weird when he brought up the Steph Curry night thing.
Yeah,
it was weird. It was uncomfortable. But the same goes for the other side when they have, like, I thought the Hulk Hogan thing was super awkward. He's off on God knows what kind of tangent now. That dude is losing his mind. But
yep,
I just don't like I don't need this.
Well, it was, and look, Oprah, and I was up in New York. I did the recap with Fox on Wednesday night, I guess it was. Yeah, Wednesday night, because and Oprah spoke that night, and I was expecting Oprah to come out and be the, oh, you get a car, which would fit Democrat politics, but
sure.
but I was looking for the sofa Oprah, what I'm saying, the talk show Oprah. And they gave her, I don't know who wrote this speech, but it was a political speech, and it came off bad.
Yeah.
I mean, and some people say, oh, it was a great speech. Well, no, if Oprah Winfrey was a politician, I would say, okay, not bad. But that's not what I come to hear Oprah for. And so, look, I mean, they may think it's great.
That's the point, right? Though it's like they want these celebrities to be politicians that they're not. It's always so awkward. Like, personally, I think if you make your vote based off the fact that Beyonce shows up at the DNC, you shouldn't be allowed to vote.
Yeah, or Taylor or anybody. I did think it's pretty funny though. John Legend came, but Christie didn't get invited.
Well, John Legend has to go because he sings at all these events now. So
yeah,
John Legend's the official DNC songwriter.
Yeah.
So
and Pink was there last night.
Was she? I didn't see that.
So.
I missed that. I love Pink. I don't care. She could be Democrat, Republican. She could be whatever. I love Pink.
She's tough too. I don't think I'd want to mess with her.
Yeah, oh no! When we were kids, I thought Pink would punch me in the face if I ever saw her.
Oh yeah,
that was my first thought.
Pretty well.
But anyway, we can get on to the fun stuff, man.
Yeah, it's pretty. Well, that was pretty fun. Well, okay. Well, let's just turn this before we get into football. By the way, we got tomorrow, game day is back live from Dublin. And hey, we hadn't touched on this. McAfee finally signed the contract and he got back into game day.
That was such a great opening. I rarely catch the opening of the show, and it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago they did it. 2 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah, on the
I think, and I watched the open, and I was like, "That's a cool way to let everybody know you're back."
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, he did the way he did it. And,
crazy, it was even up for debate.
Look, I have gotten to real, and we've talked about McAfee a lot on this show, but I mean, when he first came on, I was like, I wasn't sure. And again, you had some of the Pollock issue, and I like David Pollock, but McAfee has grown on me. And even though he dissed Georgia, and that's why I want Georgia to win another national title.
Still the funniest thing I've ever seen that show do.
Oh, yeah. It was, but it was, and he came to Athens. And so some of it was sort of like, okay, Athens, you earned this because you dissed him and you earned this. And I get that. And I'm all for it. Now, what's the other one on there? Connor.
Boston Connor.
Connor. Now, he is disliked in Georgia. I mean, there's an issue.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But he doesn't care.
He plays that role almost everywhere he goes. I mean, he's like he's the insult comic, so to speak.
Yeah.
But, I mean, from Boston, what can you expect? But anyway, but McAfee being back is great. They showed the clip again. And if you've never saw this clip, you got to go back and look at it. And it was the one from the Rose Bowl last year when it was talking about I think the kid from Alabama and his clothing line, letting naysayers know.
Yes.
And
my God.
And when Reese is reading that, and McAfee stops right in the middle, I saw that again this morning, and I was dying.
Yeah, it's worth a watch. Please watch.
And Herb Street looks over. You stopped him in the middle of his read.
He had to, and it was perfect. But that's, again, you're bringing something a little different. Like, there's nobody would have done that. Nobody else would have done that on game day. That's the best. He makes game day more watchable, and whether you like it or not.
It is great. Oh, speaking of 50, you mentioned the cat lady and 15 minutes of fame. We do have to bring this up, and if you're watching on Rumble, by the way, you got to take a look at this. I picked this up. Did not know I was going to get this benefit of the New York Times, and here we go, baby. I mean, if you don't think football's back. You got Sean Stellato. Stellato is back. This is the agent for a lot of several NFL players. We only talk about the kid in New York.
Of course.
But look at that. I mean, styling, baby.
He looked, it's insane. I absolutely hate fedoras, and I think they should all be burned. But if you're going to do it, go out in style. The Tommy DeVito era is not – you know why they put him on the cover? Because there's a good chance they're going to have to bench Daniel Jones this year.
Yeah, well, check this out. Look. I mean, he even gets the blurred into picture.
Yeah, that's the worst photographer ever. That's stupid.
Yeah,
anyway,
and then you got him in the stands and him with Tommy and
it was what a run that was. What a 15 minutes of fame that was.
Oh my God! And now he's riding it into the new season. Look, I think speaking of football, I think you're right. I think the Giants have got a serious problem.
I know we all joke. Daniel Jones isn't good, but they paid him a lot of money. It doesn't look like a lot of money now based on what they're paying everybody else. But anyway, they paid him whatever. He threw those 2 interceptions in preseason. Buddy, where are we? Where are we right now?
I can see that.
Did you see Sauce Gardner yesterday trying to be nice about it?
Again, they're throwing interceptions. They're not keeping – but also there's another big story developing in the NFL, and that is the Justin Fields, Russell Wilson issue in Pittsburgh.
I'm baffled that this is – I believe in Justin Fields as someone who's not a Bears fan over Russell Wilson right now. I don't see – I think the Steelers are playing a silly game, in my opinion. The Steelers want to keep that streak of winning seasons going. I know that's what this is about, and that's why they want to that's why they're debating putting Russell Wilson in, instead of finding out what Justin Fields could be. And that, who cares? You are not winning your division this year. I'm not saying the Steelers are in a rebuild. I'm not trying to call it that. But you do not have what the Bengals have. You do not have what Baltimore has. And you barely have what the Browns have. So I don't understand why you don't play Fields. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, but did you see the Fields throw that got? I mean, and I don't know why they picked on him so bad about this throw. It was a 40, 50-yard throw, and he overthrew him, and the guy jumped to catch it. But it's like they were making this out to be like Justin. The way the commentators and social media were making it out like, well, this shows Justin Field is terrible. And it's like, well, no, I mean, I see that all the time. I mean, I watched Tom Brady overthrow people at 50 yards. I mean, it's not.
It doesn't make any sense, Doug. They want to find the wrong with Fields. That's what's happening.
Yeah, so
And
undoubtedly he's gotten into, they for whatever reason he rubbed people wrong, and it is, and Fields can't get a break. This is a Marietta kid. He's a good kid. But we'll see how that works out. Oh, we got to talk about this though. The Miami of Ohio coach yesterday. Did you catch this?
no, talk to me.
He just flat out called out Alabama and said they stole our kicker. You gotta hear this. I got some audio here. Hang on a second.
Yeah, shoot, I'm listening.
It starts off with the guy saying he lost their kicker. And he said, no, we didn't lose our kicker. So check this out.
Here we go.
Special teams lost your kicker, Carter McLaughlin.
He's at. We didn't lose him. He's at Alabama. We know.
Yeah,
exactly,
I understand.
We know exactly
that.
where he's at. Like you media people, it's all pretend. Like no, Alabama stole our kicker.
Yes,
they illegally recruited our. They illegally recruited our kicker and stole him from us. And like that's a fact. But that's but we act like it's not. We live in this la la world. Like hey, let's not talk. I don't know why everybody knows what's going on. So yeah, Alabama stole our kicker. A couple other schools tried to steal him, but then okay, what's the question?
That man's a national icon.
I mean, my God, he just came right out and just said they stole our kicker.
You know what's really funny is Miami of. Calling it stealing your kicker. You're Miami of Ohio, and a kicker had an opportunity to play at Alabama. That's not really stealing your kicker.
He won an award last year. I mean, this is not a bad kicker. They didn't just go in and get some kicker. They got a good kicker.
Also, what's stealing? What? Because he didn't do it. They didn't do it late enough to ask him. Like the rules for college football are out of hand. So who cares? Also, you're Miami of Ohio. Get over yourself.
But I love how he called out the media.
Right at him.
Why are we pretending we're in this la la land here?
That is amazing. He is a hero for saying
they illegally stole our kicker.
They illegally stole our kicker.
Illegally recruited.
You're in trouble though when you're worried about your kicker being stolen. First and foremost, they probably saw that their new kid kicked 2 field goals and were like, oh no.
Yeah, we're in deep weeds here. Hey, interestingly enough, though, I was listening to as I was traveling a good bit, and I'll be traveling again this weekend. By the way, if you're going to be down in Perry, Georgia, and I'll be at the 8th District Fish Fry this weekend. I'll be there on tomorrow. So if you're down around Perry and you want to come in and get some good food down in Warner Robbins,
there's
Perry,
a fish fry, Doug.
Fish fry, it's good stuff.
Dang.
Good stuff. Sonny Perdue actually started it. We got a political angle to all this. Sonny Perdue, former governor of Georgia, started this fish fry years ago, and it's just continued on for a while. So
that's awesome.
It's become a big political thing. But if you're down in that part of the world and you're not watching football, like I'm not going to get to watch football for a little while tomorrow. Be there. But I was listening to some comments, and it's really interesting. You know who the most depressing network to listen to right now is, and they try their best. They try their best to make it good, and that's the ACC folks, the ACC network folks. They're in just. I listened to them the other day. There was one of the college football evening programs, EJ Manuel, and all these guys, and they were talking about it, and they were struggling to with a straight face to say that the ACC is going to get 2 teams in the 12. They were struggling.
It's not real. It's not even possible. This new system. Did you see how far UCLA has to travel this year?
Oh, they're on the road all the time.
26,000 miles they'll be traveling this year because of the new setup.
But and we talk about football. Now think about baseball. Think about the other sports, basketball and others who are going twice a year or 3 times a year to do these things. At least baseball will go and do a 2 or 3 game, 2 or 3 days there and come back. But who else can come out of the ACC besides NC State? Clemson, maybe? They're saying Florida State and Clemson. They're saying
Well,
again. They're going back to
Clemson
the
hasn't been
old.
relevant in like 6 years.
Well,
Am I wrong about that?
Well, we're getting ready to find out how relevant they're going to be because next Saturday they roll into Atlanta against Georgia, and
Georgia's going to put the beats on them. What are we
we'll
talking
see.
about here?
You know,
They're the AP
growing
number
up-
one.
Growing up in this area, people don't realize that Clemson and Georgia are only separated by about 60 miles.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they're just up 85. I mean, literally just up 85, or down 85 if you're coming.
It doesn't
from
feel like a rivalry though, which is
It was in the 80s. It
Okay.
was more in the 80s. And then for some reason they got off schedule. Okay. But remember, Georgia won the national title in 80. Clemson won it in 81.
okay.
And they always played back and forth. And I remember the games, and they were, pretty wild. And up part of my old congressional district, they get the Greenville TV. So they, Clemson games and Clemson radio is pretty popular up in that part, and especially when they were really killing it, a few years ago. But yeah, the talk of now North Carolina State, they got the Camino and some of the other kids that come back, but they just really were struggling at ACC level to figure this out. And if Clemson and South Carolina, if Clemson and Florida State do make the jump to SEC, which is looking more and more like that may happen, in the year or two out, ACC's done. The ACC becomes the Pac-10. The two coastal conferences are now gone.
It just once they made that big adjustment last year, and that starts this year, or is it next? No, it starts this year. The adjustment, right? With the Pac-12, everybody's out of the.
Everybody. It's just
Texas is now with the SEC.
Washington State, Oregon State, or the Pac-12. And
right. Okay.
Does that mean they automatically get a bid? One of those two is going to get in the playoffs?
The first 5 automatically get a bid, and I think Notre Dame can only go as high as 5 because they're not in a conference. I think that's how it works. Right
but is the Pac-12 one of the Power 5 conferences?
Well, all right, well, let's take a look. So we have the SEC.
ACC, SEC, Big 12, Big 10.
Yeah, probably.
So right now you're telling me
team is going to get in. Yes, that's
so
what
you're telling me. Oregon State or Washington State has already made the playoffs.
No, we have to hold on. We have to figure this out.
Something ain't right.
Okay, Power 5 schools, NCAA football. Okay, so we're looking right now.
Maybe look at automatic.
ACC, Big 10, Big 12.
We forgot about the ACC. There we go.
Pacific 12, and then the Southern Conference, SEC. So Southeastern Conference. So technically, yes. So technically, a trash team is going to get in. They're going to get demolished. I don't like the rules. I don't know how it's going to work realistically. I think it's really absurd that basically I don't like that Notre Dame's not in the conference, but they could have the best season. They can go undefeated, and the highest seed they can get is the 5 or the 6, I think. I think it's the 6, which is nuts.
I don't get this. I mean,
I don't know, Doug. I don't know what I guess that's probably something that has to come with it. We don't have a choice, maybe.
Okay, February. Okay, there's a story on February of this year. They finalized the automatic burst.
Maybe it's 4 of the 5 schools, so they don't have to put that in there.
Effectively, the Power 4.
Oh, so it's Power 4 now.
I guess.
Okay, so maybe they're removing the Pac-12.
Otherwise, it's just crazy because you're going to give Oregon State. And
it's just bad. It's just not going to be good enough football. I mean, they're going to go to the playoff for no reason. Then we're going to have the same conversation we've been having, which is how come they got in and they didn't.
And they're going to be ranked. They'll be on the top 4 with a home game. It's like 5 home games.
Yeah, that makes no sense. There's no world where that exists. So maybe, I don't know. It's going to be a wild. I'm looking forward to it towards the end because I think I'm really looking forward to people losing their mind about who got in and who's not in. But people don't really get to complain anymore. Sorry, there's too many teams.
There's too many teams.
Your team couldn't make it to 12. It ain't you. But if their system doesn't make sense, then fine.
Well, it's going to be interesting. Look, this will be an interesting year. I think as we look at it, as we're sort of sitting here on the precipice of this. And by the way, Michelle Tavoy is going to be joining us next week. We're going to get
Yes,
Michelle
it's going to be a
involved.
lot of fun. We're
And I
going
got
to
to
do.
get with Chan. Well, hopefully, maybe have Chan on as well.
If we can have both of them on, that show is going to be electric, Doug.
Yeah, so we'll have them on to give us a good perspective. But sitting here on the day before game day, the day before the college football series kicks off again, I mean, I think there's going to be some questions answered a little bit, and it's really going to be answered more in the SEC. I've never been a Big Ten hype fan. Never been. I think they play 2 teams a year, 3 teams a year. They just play a different brand of football. By the way, Kurt Frentz, coach at Iowa's got to sit out for the first game.
That was, I know they joked about it yesterday on McAfee, calling it a witch hunt, but what he did, what they described it, and I don't know much about the rules of recruiting or whatever it was or whatever they did, but it was nonsense when I read it. It was total nonsense.
How much longer is it
respected.
going to be till the NCAA is no longer involved in football in college?
I mean, at some point they're going to kick them out because they're sick of it.
It's like Georgia and again, my question is what are they going to do about Michigan? We had a lot of discussion there at the start because they've just come out. They're getting ready to come out with the NCAA has never ruled on Michigan, and everything else
ruled on Harbaugh, but they didn't rule on Michigan.
Yeah, so it's a.
I think they're going to leave them out of it. I think they're just going to make it a Harbaugh thing that he can't come back to the NCAA. I'm sure he's really worried about that.
Yeah, I ain't worried about that one. But there's some talk about them having to give up their title and everything else.
No, stop it.
In other years they may have. But
see, to me that makes no sense. Though, then if you're going to take away their title, you never should have let them in the first place. That's your own fault.
Again, but you're dealing with the NCAA.
They're terrible.
Let's just go to an Alabama or a Georgia or a Ohio State. Even I'll go to Ohio State. And the NCAA says these 3 kids can't play because these recruiting violation. And basically, Ohio State says, screw y'all, they're playing.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
You're going to show up, take just strip it away?
You're going to come take them off the field? You're going to do that? We'll just withdraw. I think it's coming there. Look, I've talked to several folks in that world. They only keep them around because it's frankly not worth the effort,
right?
But I think the more money that gets involved in, especially is already there in NFL. NFL style money into NCAA, the football NCAA's because they have so botched this thing. You're going to. I think you'll see a governing board of the Power 5 conferences or something that the commissioners of each of the conferences will be sitting on a board.
It'll be the 5 mafia families of football. Yeah, and we'll be talking about that.
We come together. We have some positive. Life is good.
Yeah, exactly. They're all going to sit at the table.
You don't talk to me. This is not the way you disrespect the family.
You massacred my boy. Now we have to have this discussion at the table.
I'm now going to
it's going to be a really.
I'm going to steal your place kicker.
You give me your place kicker in exchange for $50,000, and let's just call it even, huh?
Call it even.
And it's funny because you bring it, but Alabama, that's a team that it's one of those things as if it's Kalen DeBoer is their head coach now. I think people are acting like he can't coach, and I think that's the craziest thing to go into with. Listen, you're replacing arguably the greatest coach in college football history. Arguably. Yep. Correct?
Yep.
So can we just breathe a minute? There's a chance it's not going to work, okay? And then he'll go. He'll be gone in 2 years max. But you have to give this man a chance. He can coach. Washington made it to the Final Four last year. That's enough for me. That's all I need to know. Do you know what I'm saying? I know it's scary.
I had him at number 6, but okay, that's fine.
Well, it's not really up to you.
No, but
it's up to your Georgia fandom just blinds you.
No, Florida State.
It should have been Florida State. I know.
I didn't get Florida State over, but I still think Georgia and Florida State got screwed.
Well, Georgia would have.
I'm an Alabama guy too. Remember?
Correct. And they won one game against Georgia that was close, and it was the end of the world for Georgia, which made no sense. They didn't want them to go back to back to back.
But back to back, what I was saying is, I think this is the year, and we got sidetracked on Big Ten. This is the year, though, that some schools are now. It's the put up or shut up time. I've always been a fan, a non-fan of Texas and Oklahoma. because I felt like they were basically just much like Ohio State and Michigan, with an occasional Penn State, with an occasional Oklahoma State, with an occasional other. It was just a 2-person league. Okay, now Texas is coming in with a pretty good crop of kids. I mean, they're going, they can play. They showed they could play last year.
Ewers is coming back.
Ewers is back. Oklahoma's in a building, but now they're going to have to play. And this is what people don't, I think, respect about the SEC. And they're starting to talk about it some, but they just don't talk about it. It's a really truly legit 8-game schedule. Okay, in which you'll have 2 or 3. You got a Vandy on there, and you may have something, and you have your 2 non-coms. But that's going to go away. You're going to be down to 1 non-com pretty soon. But Texas has got, they got Georgia coming to Austin, which is in their favor. Austin is a tough place to play. Georgia's coming there. But they're going to have to play the LSUs. Look, Mississippi State would be a perennial top 3 in the Big 12 or the Big 10. Mississippi State, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss is usually in the conversation all the time. And they've gotten
back into it. By the way, Lane Kiffin, that's a whole – oh, my God.
Wait, Doug, we didn't discuss the gazillion-dollar lawsuit. You heard of this? Did you hear about this? A woman, and I forget her name. I think it's Anna Keller or something like that. Sorry, we talked about her on this show with Chip. She is suing for some reason J.D. Vance, Donald Trump Jr., Lane Kiffin for some reason, a billion gazillions. She wrote those words on a piece of paper. We have to find this article. She literally just she went to the courthouse, took out a piece of paper, and just said, I want to sue them for a million gazillions. Just so we're clear that exists. And Lane Kiffin, for some reason, is in there. Because Lane Kiffin's the worst. I don't get it.
For what reason?
There's damages. Just damages. This woman is insane.
Well, Coca-Cola may actually have a good breach of contract with.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that. That just happened yesterday, or the day before.
Yeah, the other day he just said the day before, and it was like, does anybody still drink this? I mean, you're talking about one of these top 5 iconic brands in the world, not the Southeast. No. This isn't Golden Flake potato chips, which you probably have no idea what that is. No. This is Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going after one of your major sponsors.
And they're sitting on the desk.
You think you drink this with all that sugar? Yes.
Yeah, I got to give what's his name at LSU though credit though. He trolled like crap on that one yesterday.
I missed it.
The water. He said, "This water is great water. This water is wonderful." It's a Coca-Cola product.
I can't imagine anyone actually likes Lane Kiffin. I don't get it. I don't know anything about him. I just know that I don't know anything about it. I just don't get it.
If we can do a podcast, and I have some of my Mississippi friends come on, and we could just let them be completely, we
let them be honest.
We don't show their face, and we distort their voice. The stories that they have told me.
Wait, what are we doing? We can do all that. I have the capability. We will do an hour show, and we will call it.
Him going to aerobics class with his bride that is the age of his daughter. I mean, there's a lot going on. It's a lot.
And also, I still think he has some sort of leverage on the entire football community that he keeps getting jobs.
Well, it was his dad. Remember, we figured that out.
Right. We did have that discussion. That's right. We don't have to trash Lane Kiffin for this entire episode, but he's just a fascinating human being to talk about. I know him and what's his name, Paul Feinbaum. I heard him saying we are friends. He's like, we're friends, but we're not friends. And I'm like, you're not friends. You don't have to lie on camera or TV. You don't like each other. That's fine.
Okay. Here's this, and for we do typically a PG plus show here, but I got to read this. This came out just yesterday. As we're talking about Kiffin and talking about football. There's a new book coming out on Saban, and it's talking about Saban and everything, the price of winning or whatever. And there's a part in the book, this is quoted, that Kiffin and Saban had the same agent, Jimmy Sexton, I think is the guy's name.
Okay.
And there was something going on. And it said one example of the conflict culminated in Saban calling Sexton and threatening to fire him after becoming enraged at Kiffin's attitude in coaches' meeting. Kiffin actually warned Sexton that an angry phone call was coming from Saban after it was imminent after Kiffin allegedly told Saban that he didn't know what he was talking about, according to Alabama.com. Minutes later, the call came. And this is the quote, direct quote from Saban. That son of a bitch, Saban said of Kiffin to the agent, according to the review of the book, I'm going to fire you, Jimmy, for ever talking me into hiring that narcissistic prick.
Oh, man. It's true. He is the most narcissistic person I've ever seen on television that carries a clipboard. Get over
It's
yourself.
amazing. It's amazing. But
Right.
it'll work out. Look, we'll get into this. Like I said, I think, though, Texas, Oklahoma, going back in this, they're having to play the schedule. So, look, I mean, for this year.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll tell you that.
If Texas runs the table, I got to say, dang,
Yeah.
Texas ran the table. If
And then
if
they'll have
Oklahoma,
Arch next year, which is crazy. I'm excited to watch that kid play.
Yeah, it's going to be – I'm not sure he ever makes it. I'm beginning to believe Arch is going to end up.
You think
somewhere.
Arch is just going to be a backup forever?
I think he could be. Or he could go to somewhere else.
He stayed this year knowing Ewers was here. I think he's starting next year for Texas no matter what. Plus the money that they're giving that kid.
There, even starting this year, he's sitting there 5 years because they didn't use him in 4 games last year. So.
Okay. Well, either way, I'm here for it. And also if Ewers gets hurt, in comes Arch. I think that's the thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, and again, if you like him, you don't like him. On the NIL front, the money that's flowing into college football, there's a Instagram post today out on Georgia football. Everybody, all the kids are going by and picking up their new Beats headphones. Georgia Beat headphones, red headphones, the over-the-ear headphones. Okay. Malik Starks and Carson Beck brought them in for everybody on the team.
See, now that's what you do when you get rich. You buy stuff for the team. Now, speaking of things being bought for the team, I don't know what – I want to say it was Arkansas, but I could be wrong about this. I think I'm wrong. All their scholarship players got brand new Dodge Rams.
Yeah, I think that was true. It's one of the teams. I don't know if it was Arkansas, but yeah.
I'm trying to find out, but
the money is just overflowing into these places right now. Carson Beck and who's the other one in college right now? They have their own.
Utah. Sorry, just wanted to get that in there.
Utah. Yeah.
Continue.
Carson Beck and them actually have arrangements now with a private jet company. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And all this proves though is like, don't ever tell us you didn't have the money.
Oh, yeah,
you can never say you didn't have the money. You're buying your players trucks. You're buying. I mean, look at some of them. Some of the teams have QR codes on the back of their helmet. It's Oklahoma State, so you can click it and donate.
Yeah,
and they know you're going to donate because college. That's why the East Coast doesn't care. East Coast has no college football; they'll never donate. But in the South and on the West Coast, like they will donate for their college football teams.
Oh, it's what you always see that sometimes they have the big stadium stuff and everything that says there's things that the European mind can never comprehend, and there's things that the rest of the country's mind cannot comprehend is the ability of size. By the way, you're still up in the Northwest. There's a football stadium in Tacoma, a high school football stadium that overlooks the paint.
I'm right outside Tacoma in my place. So.
It is a beautiful place up there. It's just a huge.
I'll check it out.
But you don't. I mean, look. I mean, you got high school stadiums in the South that seat 25,000.
I lived in Texas for 2 years. I've seen them. They're insane. You go there and you're like, oh, what college is this? And they're like, no. That's just a high school football team, and they're not even that good.
The one close to you, which you were at, that was the big one, was Parkwood, I think it was, where Stafford went to school.
Yeah, I think
out near SMU.
One of my brother's friends went there. He said it was like going to high school, and it's insane. It's undescribable the football season.
All right. Before we get going, let's give a couple of folks some picks for this weekend, and we got of course. Let's see. let's just do all 1A here so we can get a couple of games. Because there's only a few games this weekend. Let's start off with Delaware State and Hawaii. After Delaware State finally got on the plane to go to Hawaii,
they're going to get crushed.
They're going to crush. I saw a stat the other day that said that Hawaii was 12-2 in opening games in the last 16 years or something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I'm picking Hawaii. I'll take Hawaii on that. Hawaii's favored by 40 in this one, so it is. Here's your TV games this week. SMU and Nevada.
Oh.
SMU.
You're going to take SMU?
I think here's your sleeper. SMU will be in the top 4 of ACC.
Okay. All right. I will. You know what then? With you, I will go with SMU. I trust you.
Yeah. All right. Now, in light of your travels, here you go. Montana State.
I have to take Montana State no matter what. I know they're going to get dogs, but I'm taking Montana State.
Well, they're a 13-point
favorite. 13-point favorite against New Mexico?
Yeah.
Oh, well then, I guess.
Here we go. But here's the big one. It's the Aer Lingus College Football Classic from Dublin, Ireland. Florida State, Georgia Tech. Florida State comes in ranked 10th in the country.
Yeah, Florida State puts a 20 spot on them at minimum.
I'm taking the upset alert. Ding, 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 ding. Georgia Tech by 7.
So no teams from the ACC are going to.
No teams from the ACC are going. No,
okay.
I just have this feeling. You ever had? Look, it's one of those could be wrong kind of things. But I think upset alert here. Florida State is still suffering from the "you didn't pick me" syndrome. They didn't really. I mean, they got DJ Ungule is quarterback. That's enough for me right there.
The reason they didn't get in last year.
For the reason they're not going to win much this year. Look, I'm with you. I think Clemson. Here's my top 4 in ACC, and I make change this. And this one of these hurts. Okay, one of them really hurts. I'm going to tell you. My top 4 in the ACC is Clemson, North Carolina State, Georgia Tech, and SMU.
Yeah, I mean, who else has a chance in that division?
Yeah, all right. Well, so I don't know if we got this, but my top 4 in ACC is Clemson, North Carolina State, SMU, and Tech.
Right, and I was saying, is there anyone else that can even get in that top 4? Like, who has a
Florida
chance?
State, I guess. If Florida State beats Tech, then
right.
Look, I think there's still some issue here. But
sure.
I mean, Florida State's at a very close 4.5. I mean, I'm gonna have to say,
Sorry, I left them out because I thought you said them.
Miami's the sleeper you never know about. They've got the talent. They've got the talent, but they just don't ever play. SEC. Again, sort of. You go traditional. I'm gonna have to go traditional here because simply you just don't know. I'm gonna have to say top 4. Top 4 is Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas.
Yeah, I was going to say I would put Texas in there.
LSU easily could be in there in some place.
I don't have Jaden Daniels this year, and that's a big drop off. I don't know who their quarterback is, so I'm not going to pretend I do. But Jaden Daniels he's going to be one of the best players in the NFL this year. So,
but look, as we've seen in the SEC. A run by LSU, a run by Mississippi State, a run by Missouri. I left out Missouri, and I know people are going to get upset. I'm going to go back. I have to say 4.5 for Missouri. I mean, because they've got a good team this year.
Yeah.
So again,
you are Missouri though. You got to be pissed that Texas is in there and all these teams are filing.
Oh yeah. Well, then you got Vandy, and is the only one that just happy to be there.
They're like, please don't let us leave.
We don't have a Tennessee. I saw a little. They got a funny thing going on. I'm going to start sending these to you. They do a thing down here in the South that's sort of parody of footballs. And Vanderbilt said, "Do you even have a stadium yet?" Well, we have but we have one on Madden 25. So
that's fantastic.
Then South Carolina guy comes in and says they put Sandstorm in for South Carolina. They got it for everybody. Right. They've got it for everybody.
Yeah. It is. Listen, you can dream in NCAA. That's football 25. Everybody can get the dream.
All right, well, folks, the Traveler's out. I'm out working this weekend. We'll be back in next week. Got a big week next week. Going to be having some fun. Hopefully, like I said, have Michelle Tafoya on with Chan Gailey. We'll talk football, but also we're going to be breaking down. It might be time, James, for me to give us a pre-Labor Day breakdown of the races, Senate races, House races, and presidential races. So we'll be doing that a little bit next week. So a lot of things on the tap for the podcast. Glad you are with us as we go. So just keep all that in mind. If you have any questions, comments, want to see me somewhere in the world, or if you're out in the West and you want to see James, send me a text or send me a podcast. Send me an email. James makes public appearances. He only does
have a drink. That's it. That's all you get.
Yeah, he just drinks. So, but go to the DougCollinsPodcast.com, hit that email button, and let me know what's going on. With that, James, any final comments?
Football's back, baby. Football's so back.
Football's back, and here we go. For me, if I'm ever looking for a new agent, there we go.
That's our man.
Everybody, y'all be good. We'll see you next time on the Doug Collins Podcast.